All right, let's just jump right in. Picture this. You're at a party, or maybe just scrolling online, and it feels like the whole world has gone crazy over a game. People are yelling, they're hugging strangers, they're crying over a ball, and you're just standing there, watching, feeling absolutely nothing. You know the feeling, right? Your friend is having a full-blown meltdown because of some penalty, and you're just blank. There's no adrenaline rush, no excitement, just this weird sense that you're an alien observing some kind of bizarre planet-wide ritual. And that's when the question hits you. Why don't I get it? Am I missing some kind of sports gene? Is something wrong with me? Well, here's the good news. You are absolutely not broken, and neither are they. You're just wired into a different tribe.
So, to really understand why you don't feel the game, we first have to figure out why they feel it so much. And to do that, we got to look at some seriously old programming that's running in the background of every single human brain.
Think about it. For almost our entire existence, being an outcast wasn't just sad, it was a death sentence. You needed your tribe for protection, for food, for everything. So evolution gave us this incredibly powerful, deep-seated instinct. Find your people, stick with them, and be really, really suspicious of the other guys. And that ancient software?
But here's the twist. Our modern world doesn't have a lot of actual life-or-death tribal battles anymore. But that primal urge for conflict, for us versus them, it's still there. It needs an outlet. And sports, it's the perfect substitute. It's a symbolic battlefield. The uniforms are the armor, the chants are the war cries, and the stadium is basically our modern-day Colosseum. All of the emotion, none of the actual bloodshed.
And this connection gets deep, fast. It's not just a team. It's about your city's honor. It's about that bond you have with your dad watching the game every Sunday. And pretty soon, it gets tangled up in your own identity. That's why fans don't say, the team won. They say, we won. Because on a deep neurological level, they did.
Okay, so that's the ancient why. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty chemical how. Because when a fan is watching a game, their brain is on one heck of a chemical roller coaster.
First up, you've got dopamine. And listen, this is important. Dopamine isn't the pleasure chemical. It's the anticipation chemical. It's that feeling of, ooh, what's going to happen next? Every single play is like a pull of a slot machine lever, keeping the brain totally hooked on the possibility, the uncertainty of what's about to unfold.
Then there's oxytocin. This is the cuddle hormone, the social glue. When a whole stadium erupts in a cheer at the exact same moment, their brains get a huge hit of it. It creates this powerful, instantaneous sense of community. It's why two strangers who've never met will high-five and hug like they're best friends. They're not just celebrating a point, they're celebrating their shared belonging.
And you can't forget testosterone. This is the raw, primal chemical of status and dominance. When their team wins, a fan's nervous system registers it as a personal victory for the entire tribe. It says, we are strong, we are on top. A loss, on the other hand, can feel like a genuine public humiliation.
And this is the real secret sauce. The most addictive part of sports isn't actually the winning. It's the surprise. It's when your brain predicts one outcome and then bam, something completely unexpected happens. A last-second comeback, a shocking upset. That jolt, that prediction error, gives your brain a massive chemical reward. It's what makes the whole thing so unbelievably compelling.
So back to you. Why doesn't any of this work on your brain? It's not because you're broken or you lack empathy. It's because your brain's mirror neurons need three things to really fire up. You need a story to care about, you need some emotional stakes, and you need a side to root for. Without those three keys, your brain just stays on the sidelines. You're watching the physics of the game, but you're not feeling the story.
And here's the final piece of the puzzle. For a lot of people, fandom isn't a conscious choice they made. It was imprinted on them as a kid. That team is tied to memories of sitting on the couch with a parent, feeling safe and loved. It's an emotional anchor. If you never got that childhood imprint, then sports probably just remained, well, a game.
But now, we're going to flip this whole thing on its head. Because this next part, this is where we talk about you, and you might be surprised by what you find out.
If you're not a sports fan, I'm willing to bet you thought this, or even said it out loud. You look at those screaming fans and think, I'm just not wired for that kind of obsession. Okay, let's put that to the test, shall we?
Be honest, have you ever gotten into a genuinely heated argument about which actor was the definitive version of a character? Arguing about timelines, motivations, the whole shebang.
How about this? Ever found yourself glued to a screen late into the night, your heart pounding as you watch someone try to beat a video game boss or set a new speedrun record? Or what about that feeling, that deep, personal, almost betrayal-like anger when a movie or a show completely messes up the lore of a book you absolutely adore?
Well, if you said yes to any of those, I have some news for you. Congratulations, you are, in fact, a sports fan. The psychological engine is exactly the same. You just happen to hang out in a different stadium.
Look at the blueprint. It's identical. Sports fans have their tribe, the Lakers. You have yours. Maybe it's Marvel. They have their bitter rival, the Celtics. You have yours, DC Comics. They have their insider jargon like offsides. You have yours, like canon. The rage they feel on game day is the exact same rage you feel over a bad adaptation. It's all fandom.
So what can you actually do with this information? How do you survive the next Super Bowl party without feeling like a total outsider? Well, you don't have to learn all the rules or pretend to care. You just need to learn how to build a bridge.
The best way to think about it is that sports talk is like a social passport. In a lot of situations, it's just the default language people use to connect and figure out if you're one of us. When you can't speak it, it feels isolating. But the secret is, you don't need to be fluent. You just have to know how to ask about the plot.
Here you go. 3 cheat code questions. They work every single time because they bypass all the technical stuff and get right to the things that drive any fandom, including yours. You're asking about the emotion, the highlight reel moments, and the history. You're not talking about sports, you're talking about a story, and everyone loves a good story. So in the end, it turns out you're not cold, you're not broken, you're not missing a chip. You are just as tribal, just as passionate as the most die-hard sports fan. The only difference is the arena. Some of us scream in stadiums, and some of us scream in comment sections. The only real question is, where do you find your tribe?